do this shit. Alright. In the cage was super easy for you. After all the other fights you've had to deal with, probably one of the best stories around was and Cystic Fibrosis, does loads of work to help these foundations, fought cancer and won. Had to fight this gym with the lockdown, the draconian lockdown in Wales, and he's still here fighting with an 11-3 record.
Yeah.
And he's also an inspiration to many people, like my friend who's over there training now. Has been a big inspiration to him over the years. Welcome, Aaron Aby.
Thanks for having me.
First, talk about the lockdown and everything. How have you managed with keeping, how long has it been closed for you? Gym really? Is it 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been closed since March.
Yeah.
And obviously, training's been such a big part of my life and everyone who comes in his life. And like started this business, like growing up, coming into why it's so important, and we'll probably get onto it later, but I was born with cystic fibrosis, and one of my treatments for cystic fibrosis was exercise.
Okay.
So ever since a young kid, you know, at the time, research into cystic fibrosis when I was about not exercising because maybe your lungs couldn't cope with the physical demands, but obviously having a dad who played professional rugby and did a lot of training, it was always for me exercise. And I think because I was so healthy as a young kid and because of the exercise, that was a big part of my life, and now it's something that is recommended within the CF community as a part of treatment. So we started this gym to pass on that those benefits and inspire other people to train. And so it's been part of my life forever, and having that taken away almost like hurt, also like took away who I was almost a little bit, like trying to take away that, and then obviously putting everything into it, every bit of money or free working and having to do jobs you didn't really enjoy, to almost have it like, be it like, is it going to survive? Lockdown's been tough, but again, just another challenge that you have to adapt and overcome.
Because I mean, it's crazy for me, like not having people going for exercise in this time when everybody needs to be fit. So closing gyms down is a bit of a crazy one. And having that for people, small businesses trying to make the way, expecting to have that reserve with cash to keep going, it's just nuts.
You know,
destroying so many lives, that's what scares me.
Yeah, and at the start they sell it to you by the time it's going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it ends up like 4 months later, nothing seems to be progressing as quick as you want it to. Like we ended up coming together with a few other gyms in Wrexham and writing a letter to the local government, to the Welsh government, and also the local councillor, just seeing where we're at, because we have no date for a while. Our gyms are in 4 miles down the road, we're open. And that's the thing, it's going to have a knock-on effect for a while. It's not something that now you're open, it's okay. It's not like they're going to try and restrict your numbers, also the rules that you go ahead with. It's going to be a tough time for businesses like ours, which are so specialised, and other businesses, smaller local businesses. Like the local community can pull together and help each other out and help support each other.
This is a great gym. I've trained in a couple of times. Nice, friendly, you know, and like Craig, when he's brought his kids in, you know, they've always progressed with what's going on. You developed a few grappling, people who've done well in grappling tournaments.
We've got a few good competitors now. Whether jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, we've got a camp kickboxer, we've also had UK amateur champs in MMA, one's gone to progress to the top 20 pro, so we've had a few competitors come out of this gym and done well, and all started as beginners. Like we don't, other than one person, Jordan Baxter. We've only had him ever come with previous experience in mixed martial arts. The rest have been developed from the beginners program.
Yeah. One thing I remember when I first went into like a fight gym, it's like, what's going to happen? One of the friendliest places you go in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of the time, no one, because you fight with people, people's egos have to be checked, don't they? Left at the door.
And I think like it's intimidating the first time you go, but then once you've gone and you realise it's completely not what you probably expected it to be like, unless people have told you. And that's it. It's a fighting community, but as we spoke about, egos are gone.
Yeah.
Everyone's humble. Everyone's got their own story to tell, different story to tell, and you respect that, and you grow and you learn from everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's that martial arts mindset, you know, like you say, even the black belt, you can pick someone up from a white belt. And whether that's on the martial arts or you talk to people about their lives and you can learn things from everyone. And I think that's that community that if you haven't got rid of your ego, you won't survive in. You know, if you're trying to train with an ego or in a martial arts gym, it doesn't last.
Someone always better than you, isn't it? To take it away from. It's what you said there. It's something one of my old bosses said to me, which really stuck with me. Was we had this guy coming over from Ireland. He was just a forklift driver, and he was the general manager of the depot working. He's like, yeah, I've learned a lot of things. Like, oh wow, that's it. You know what I mean? He's looking at everybody when he's learning things instead of just going, I'm above you, I can't learn anything off you, which is a great mindset for things. Like, I see you post loads of stuff about everything that's going on. What's your views on stuff now? So let's not go too deep. It's up to you, talk as much as you want, but I want the story to be about you, really. I think that's part of you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously things that affect me, I'll look into. I'm not one to just be told something, whether it's your doctor or anything, I'll look into it. And like, especially if I don't know the person, like obviously if it's someone you respect and you've got like a 10-15 year relationship, you'll take their word. But like this, obviously coronavirus, having cystic fibrosis, being on the shielding list, it was going to affect me. So I'm not one to just be like, oh, whatever it says goes. I'm going to look into it. So obviously the first week or so I'm cautious. A couple of weeks I start doing my own research, and I'm talking 5-6 hours a day, articles, research papers, and then the more it goes on, the more I'm realising it was unnecessary. And my personal opinion is that lockdown hasn't saved lives, it'll end up trading lives. The virus, I do think, is real, although the testing is bad. And the longer this sort of stuff goes on, the more I think it's part of something maybe bigger. But like when you're looking at the life expectancy for people, and then the death average for COVID is higher than your average life expectancy. And they're locking everyone up at the start, keeping everyone in their homes. I haven't had a cancer checkup, which I'm meant to have every 3 months. So I'm thinking, what's going to happen when all those cases come back and they go to the doctors and maybe their cancers come back, or they miss lumps because they haven't been able to get an appointment. So for me now, it's just become one of those things that the longer it goes on without, like, you can at the start maybe say they took the safety scenario, they built these extra hospitals just in case, they did this just in case, but then after 2 weeks when the data's coming out, we didn't adapt quick enough for it to not be part of maybe something else. Like people now, mandatory masks. What's going to happen with vaccines? The more stuff like comes out like that, the more I think it's bullshit.
I'm with you on it. I put something out about survival of the fattest, really. It's like we're protecting this small segment of the population, and ruining other people's lives, and financial lives for the long term.
Financial and health,
which suicides.
Like I know personally families who've been affected by suicide during lockdown. I seen the other day that it's 200% suicide rate's gone up since lockdown, but also kids aren't going to school. How are they going to be affected if their parents are passing on their fears to the kids when kids are fine? Could that affect kids for 3-4 years? We're already seeing like mental health is becoming worse. You know, everything's got a name now. Kids have got anxiety, depression, and we need to be coming out of those times, and I feel like this has just made us go into it more. I even think it's bullshit, like the Facebook removing stuff. Why can't I have my own opinion, you have yours, and it's up to you on the outside to look in it and just...
I've had loads of stuff removed lately.
It should be up to me to think.
This is fact checking. It's like, but he's fact checking the fact checkers.
And I put a post up about masks, and it had like 11 things on what masks cause, and Instagram removed it, and they messaged me saying one of the things on it was fake. Wasn't fact checked. Well, what about the other 10 things? Why can't that stay on there? And I do think, you know, like times people are like, oh, don't get involved, and like I'll fight with myself on Facebook. I'll read some good scientific paper or some research, and I'll fight with myself, and I'll put, should I put it up? Is it worth it? But every time I put it up, I might get 3 or 4, 5 private messages. You've really helped me, made me feel better. You've really changed my outlook. Or now I completely look at it completely different. I'm not scared to go out now. And I think if I've affected one person for the positive, I've maybe helped. What if I've stopped one person maybe doing something bad to themselves? I've helped. And even though it's sometimes stressful dealing with all the comments that come back, and sometimes you justify yourself, and literally I try not to always put my opinion on it when I'm on Facebook. It's also hard to convince people over a Facebook discussion to change their opinion, but I'll like, if someone comes back with me or something, then that's like an hour of my time gone, because I'll research it again, I'll look into it properly, and then I'll put a response, rather than it becoming a I think this, you think that. So like obviously I share a lot of stuff, but I do fight. Like I shared a Katie Hopkins video the other day, and I don't agree with her on a lot of her stuff, but then I thought I don't have to agree with her on everything to not agree with her on certain things. So I shared her stuff, but it literally took me 10 minutes I was like, should I do it? Is it worth it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Then I ended up sharing it, and then a few people commented on it. I had a couple of messages, completely agree, didn't think of it like that. So it's been a positive, you know, and if it's sacrificed some of my time and some of my stress and it helps.
And I had some guy when I was in Peru, some guy's daughter was stuck in Peru. Like she was in Peru and she wasn't coming home, and he's panicking about that because of COVID, and I'm like, she's in the middle of the jungle. She's not meeting any people, you know. She's safer there than in the UK, mate. You know what I mean? Unless she goes to the city.
You got probably more chance of getting bit by a snake.
Oh yeah, by far. She was in the middle of the Amazon. You know what I mean? On a retreat somewhere. It's like, I think she'll be alright there for COVID.
You know, and like I see Matt Letizia today has removed himself off social media for speaking up about it, and he's had people write in to Sky Sports saying he should lose his job and that. Why? Because he's not following the motive the media are trying to push. Why can't he have his own view? It's not. Some people might look at it differently. Some people might think COVID has a death rate of 0.3%. Lock everyone up. And that might be, they think that's acceptable. Okay, I respect that, but other people's don't. So let them have their view. And you know, for a footballer famous who's on Sky Sports media, is that to remove himself off social media for expressing his opinion? And it seems to be at the moment a constant battle about things when everyone needs to pull together, and I think more people need to, who are in higher places, maybe speak out.
Yeah, that's a struggle, no one can agree on it.
No.
Everyone wants to find an argument for the worst one I had was that because of doing this podcast, I put on it for expats on something, and a friend of mine, she's like, "I'll come on as long as you remove expats and call them immigrants." What? She's like, what do you call a black person in the UK? I don't know, whatever their name is.
Yeah.
I don't get it, you know what I mean? I refer to it when I'm in China, I refer to myself as an immigrant at times to these people. It's like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just wanted to find an argument because I'm white. She's not even black, but she just wanted. It was all about time that black.
That's what I mean.
And it's like
seems to be one argument after.
You know, I'm not even going to have that argument. Like, it's just crazy. So, cystic fibrosis. When did you find out about that?
You're born with it. Well, most people find out when they're born.
Okay.
Sometimes it can get missed for a couple of years and stuff, but mine was straight away. I think I was born in Wrexham, and then I had a blockage. I was taken to Alder Hay Hospital, and then they done tests and then found out. I think it was within 2 weeks I got diagnosed with it.
Right, I didn't know. I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was until I done some research today. Because it's not affected me, so I haven't really researched it. So what is it? What happens?
It's a genetically inherited disease. So it affects a faulty gene.
Okay.
So basically, it makes you not be able to can affect the lungs, the digestive system. Because it builds up thick, sticky mucus, your body can't break it down. Okay. And then you end up maybe getting more infections, respiratory infections, your lungs get scar tissue over time. You can't digest food properly and absorb the nutrients from it. Okay. There's a lot of complications with also the medicine you have to take over time. It can affect things such as your bones and stuff. But basically, it's a faulty gene that you get. One from your mother, one from your dad, and I think you have a 1 in 4 chance of inheriting it. Okay. And then obviously it affects you by the mucus buildup and the digestive system.
So how does that affect you on a day-to-day basis?
I'm quite fortunate. A lot of the problems I've had have been acute blockages, overnight. Obviously, my lung function isn't that of people I train with, but I a lot of things. Sometimes I think how hard you work in your mind. So obviously, I just look after myself, make sure my nutrition's on point. Sleep recovery. Sometimes I have to take a lighter session when people can maybe train a bit harder, and maybe I have to be careful with the immune system, and just made sure I've took control of my life and a deep health matters. But as for it affecting me, obviously I've had a couple of stomach blockages, I have to take my medication, and then just constant hospital visits. But I try and I always say, cystic fibrosis lives with me. I don't live with cystic fibrosis, so I try and make it a small part of my life as possible.
Because you do a lot of things for them, don't you? You do talks and things like that.
So I'll go into schools, do talks to parents about my experiences. Just try and be a positive being because my mum and dad always said when I was born, it was the doctor took them into a room and said, "Do you know what cystic fibrosis is?" And they were no, and they were take this booklet, and if you've got any questions, come back to us. So my mum always said, I took this booklet, it was life expectancy 16, you can have a problem with this, and might struggle to make it through school if you can go to school. And she said it was all negative, doom and gloom, and it took them to stand up at a time of that, and almost not put that on me. I remember growing up thinking, I didn't know I had cystic fibrosis much. Well, I thought all my friends had to take tablets before they ate. Okay. I thought all my friends had physio in the morning and at night, because they weren't putting it on me as in such a big thing. So it took them to be strong enough to do that, and then I hope that my story can inspire other people. So my aim is to give a positive outlook on it, and just say, it doesn't have to become a bad reality. And I do feel some of the strengths I've got from having cystic fibrosis have carried through me into life, really. But yeah, I go to schools, talk to parents, and like I said, it was similar to the COVID situation, just trying to positively impact on people's lives.
Do you do that all over the country, or just the North West?
Wherever I just get asked, really. It's normally like around this area, because I'm pretty sure they have a couple of others who will do like other places. Sometimes the trust doesn't ask me, sometimes I just get asked by random people who have heard me to come do one somewhere else, or sometimes it's just I get messages of parents, can I have a phone call with them? A lot of people who are reaching out to me now who maybe their son's starting to do some martial arts and jiu-jitsu. Like my first fight back after the cancer, there's a young guy called Cade, and he has cystic fibrosis, and his mum would message me like a few times, I hope you're alright, and I spoke to her when he started his mixed martial arts journey about advising him to do it because she was a bit worried about him, and I invited him to the fight, the first one back. Just hopefully like have a positive influence, and he's doing well now, and obviously he started when he was 7, so maybe he can even be better than me when he's older.
Where's he train?
So he trains in Manchester, Lancaster, with a guy called Declan Williams, but he must be 8 now. So, but he's been already training a couple of years and keeps him healthy and competitive, and like.
Does that just like keep it from building up, doing the exercise?
So for example, you have chest physio, because that's when they like break down the mucus. And then you'll have a nebulizer, which helps like get rid of the mucus almost. So like exercise is a form of breaking down the mucus, because you think you're working, you're vibrating, your lungs, you're breathing heavy, so it's not getting stuck there, you're helping to clear it. So you exercise, you end up coughing, your coughs up, you get better. Like sometimes I'll, if I've got a tight chest, I'll hold the pad over my chest and I'll let someone ground and pound me. Because that for me is better. Like this doesn't really do much for me now, because I feel like training every day is my form of exercise. So if I'll increase my own physio by holding a pad over me and letting someone hit me. So it just helps break down the mucus, clears the lungs. Obviously, cystic fibrosis affects the lungs, so train the lungs. Like when I was born, exercise wasn't recommended, but like the treatment now is improving and knowledge is improving, and now like exercise, like if you have to go in for a hospital admission, because maybe your lung function's down, the CF team's got a gym. So they take you in the gym. And I do think I think we're ahead in that aspect, whereas other conditions might be just be a pill. But I do think it's my best form of treatment.
Craig was saying he used to play for Wrexham. And it was the cystic fibrosis that sort of cut that. Is that right? So
I played first at Shrewsbury. And then I ended up going to Wrexham, but I was at Shrewsbury like all my kids' academy, like under 10s up. I was like captain, top goal scorer, playing for Wales at the time. I was playing the year above. In the last like 2 years, like joining in with the youth team training sessions, and then when it comes to giving out youth team contracts, because at Shrewsbury you had to go and live there with them, and like stay there, go to college with them. They didn't want to take the risk because of cystic fibrosis. So after that, I ended up, I come back to Wrexham, like my local club. They'd already given out YTSs, but I just started training with them. Like 2-3 days a week, and then going to college and doing sports. And then while I was doing that, that's when my uncle Julian, who trained with Eric Pulson, he used to go out and started taking a class for charity for cystic fibrosis. So just once a week, and all the proceeds would go to cystic fibrosis mixed martial arts. So I started going to that with my dad, and then once become twice a week, and then I was like ringing up my uncle, can we go and train again? Become 3 times a week.
So where's your uncle based?
He's Wrexham.
He's in Wrexham?
But he used to go out every summer, 6 weeks, to CSW with Eric Pulson. Stay with him, train, he'd become an affiliated coach.
CSW in, where's that? I know it's in the US.
Yeah, it's in Fullerton, California.
Okay.
So we used to go there for 6 weeks every summer, become an affiliated coach with him, and then just started doing class a week, and all the money would go to cystic fibrosis. So I started going to that, and then
When was that? When was that?
so that was when I was like 16, 17, and then once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and then started fighting, and then eventually found the MMA academy because I needed somewhere I could train more, and just went from there. Really.
And the MMA academies in Liverpool. And have you been with them all the time? Apart from?
Yeah, I've been with them all the time since, obviously, when I started with my uncle, but even when I went to them, I trained with both, but like again, I went up there once a week, and come twice a week, and come 3 times a week, come every morning.
And are you one of their like, sponsors fighters? Or?
I'm one of their pro fighters,
fighters,
yeah. So like Jason Tarney and Peter Davis, they opened the gym, and at the time it was a new gym. And I started training there, and they had like Mike Wooten, who was bantamweight, Pietro Renga at the time, and like I just went there training, and that became the gym for me.
You used to go over to America though?
Yeah, I used to go like my uncle used to do like 4 or 5 weeks in Alpha Male. Also spent time at Sarah Longo's with Ali Quinton as well. And I've also done a couple of weeks at Eric Paulson's, but everyone there was like a heavyweight, and
don't be rolling with them.
trying to train with Josh Barnett and Eric Paulson wasn't as beneficial there. So I think that was the first America trip I did.
So you went on up. Why is your uncle a big guy? Or?
He's not a big guy, but he's like 6'1".
Oh, okay.
But like obviously that was through his affiliation. He come with me, and I was only young at the time, and then after that I was like, oh, I enjoyed the trip, and then I went to Alpha Male because obviously they had loads of light guys.
Were you like into the UFC and everything then? Or did you get into it after MMA or before MMA?
So when I started going to my uncle's classes, that's when I started getting into UFC. So at the time they were like once a month on Bravo, and whenever they were on, my uncle would record it, and like 4 or 5 of us who would train would go around there like and have it as like a treat night. We'd all bring like chocolate, pizza.
So who was the fighter at the time?
Chuck Liddell was my favourite.
Chuck Liddell at the time.
Yeah.
I think I started watching on Sky just a bit before that with Tito, just before Chuck sort of became a bit bigger.
He was my favourite fighter at the time, but it was only 1 card a month, and they were like all title fights on there, and it was good. I'm obviously more glad they're more regular now, but like that once a month we'd all go around there, who I train with, and a lot of people who I train with at the time were like the door staff in Wrexham, who were like learning self-defence. So for me as a kid, like 16, listening to these stories, like these fights in the nightclubs and the door, I was just like in the element, just listening to that. But yeah, they were good times.
What was it like being English at that time, going over to America to train?
No, different really.
No? Was it pretty cool with you and everything?
Yeah, like again, I think it's that martial arts mentality. Like I remember the first time after training at Alpha Male, Faber took me back to his house. And we had like popcorn and tea.
Okay, cool.
And watched some of the UFC fights.
Was he fighting in WC then?
No, he was in the UFC then. Yeah, like Benavidez was preparing for the first fight with Mighty Mouse. Okay. So we like rung him up, and he's like, oh, I've got a flyweight here, you can do some training with you. So like, and literally I'd done 1 session there. Okay. And then they've now got like a program where you can go out there and train anyone from anywhere. But like I was one of the first to do that, and like go out there. How did you get in touch with them? Just phone them up or? Just an email. Yeah, just an email, and I had to send like some fight footage at the time. Yeah. And then after the first time I'd been, I got like Dave, who run the program. He was like, listen, anytime you want to come, you can stay with me. Pay for your flights, come out here, do some training. So like built a relationship that way. I was meant to go a 3rd time, but that's when I got ill, and I just haven't got round to going back since. Oh, so it wasn't that long ago? So I used to go like every year really. Okay. I think I've been 3 or 4 times, but then while that Alpha Male the 2nd time was where I met Alan Quinton. And then that's when the next time I go out, I did like 2-3 weeks with him, staying at his house, and then I'd go to Alpha Male for the other 3 weeks.
What's it like at that local gym with Sarah and Longo? Are they as funny when you're there?
They're as funny. They're as funny as when you're there.
Especially Sarah, isn't it?
They're as funny when you're there, and they're as friendly as they are on TV. Like sometimes when the guys fight, like I'm not watching the fight, I'm just listening to what they're cornering. And then again, I just think the martial arts community is so friendly in that. And that's like similar. It's like maybe a smaller gym as well. Like it's not like big classes, so you get. I think that the fighters.
Is it just pros then?
And no, they do have amateur team, but like a lot of the pro sessions when I was going were like split up into like 3s or 4s, so I think they get like a lot of individual time, and they benefit from that. But yeah, Ray Long and Matt Sarah, they were very welcoming as well.
Nice. I'd like to go and say with Sarah because it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
He's got no filter, does he?
No, and that's the thing, and that's how he is when you're there. It's not like an actor or anything, that's who he is.
Where's the most fun to train? I don't know where's the best, but where's the most fun to train? Is that where you have more of a laugh there, or is it Alpha Male, or is it
I think I have fun everywhere. Just the group you train with, whoever, you know, because I think you're all like-minded people. So it's basically, it's almost like I'm still in school. I'm like with me mates, going to train, we lever each other, and we go home. It doesn't feel for me like a job. It's almost like I'm trying to keep my childhood going. So I enjoy everywhere, and I just think that that's the type of people you become who get involved with the sport. Where sometimes with football, I would have more fun playing with certain teams. Because like people a bit differently play football sometimes, but whereas mixed martial arts, everyone seems to be the similar type of person.
That's
like
why
90% of the time.
That's why I like fighters on this, because I'm trying to find people who don't fit the normal mould of go to school, get this, do this, die. You know what I mean? And you've got that process laid out, and you just go and pursue your dreams, and it's like, you know, what you said then, it still feels like I'm at school. You know what I mean? And you know, that's what it's about. For me, that's what life is about. My life now, people, I wish I could do it, because I just dot around all over the world and do different things, and it's like, just do what you want to do, man. You know, we're not here, man. You know, and that's why I like speaking to fighters about it, because they're doing that. Put themselves on the line. You know, and people don't think about. You bare your soul when you go into a fight. You know what I mean? There's people there watching you potentially get knocked out or win. You know what I mean? But you've got that risk. You know, it's
and it shows who you are as a person. And I think that, like my dad always used to say to me, show me the fighter, I'll show you the person. Show me the person, I'll show you the fighter. And he would say, show me the rugby player, I'll show you the person. Show the person. And like when you go in there, you can't hide. You've got to show who you are. And there's nothing more real than that.
So I always recommend people to come train, because when I've been depressed and then I suffer with depression, and then I'll go and there's been sparring day or something, I ain't depressed for a few days after that.
You're not thinking about your life problem, how much money in your bank, or someone trying to choke you out in training.
No, you know,
you're in the moment.
Someone punching you in the face.
You're in the moment. You know,
it puts everything in perspective, I find. You know what I mean? And I miss being able to do it. I haven't been able to do it for quite some time now, so it's like, I miss it. I want to get back on it, but my cardio's killing me. It's like, no good. So, football finished, started MMA, doing really well. What were you then? 11 and 9 and 9 and 3? And then 2017.
So 10 and. Was it 10 and 3?
Oh, 10 and 3, because that last one, the second to last one was draw.
10 and 3.
10 and 3, really good record, doing well for yourself, and then diagnosed with cancer.
So before the number 10 win on ACB, I had pains And at the time, I just thought maybe it was stress. They'd come for a couple of days, go. I went and got checked out. I was told it was infection, take these tablets, come back if they still persist. Didn't take the tablets, don't really take antibiotics willy-nilly. So then when it come back, I thought, oh, maybe I should take the tablets. But when I got seen again, the guy tested me this time for an infection, said it's not an infection. Try and give your GP a ring.
Yeah.
So like this was coming up to the fight, and then the pain was in my testicle at the time. And then the week of the fight, I started having pain in my testicle and my back. So I thought maybe it's stress, because it was a big fight. It was a rematch to a fight I lost. There was like a lot of like bad blood and talk before it. So I thought maybe it's just
stress.
That
one where you had to be split up at
the
the weigh-ins?
Yeah. So I thought maybe it was a bit of stress. Got the fight out of the way, won the fight, and then after it I went and got checked by my GP. He felt my testicle and he was like, I'm 98% sure it's cancer. And then that's when the cancer journey started for me.
So how did that affect you? I think about that and I don't know how.
Yeah.
I deal with that.
I do think it is the toughest thing I've been through the whole journey of it. And I think at the start though, you're almost in a little bit of denial.
Yeah.
And also, like for me, it was like, I'm going to beat it like I beat cystic fibrosis, I'm going to be okay. Surely not cancer for me. And a lot of questions, and it's probably one of the hardest things you can get told in life. Especially if you haven't, like, I think I had, everything I'd been through before was almost to get me through that journey. I think I almost had, like, in a way, like, the foundations to survive it because of cystic fibrosis. But, like, it's a hard thing for, like, your whole family, like, to tell me mum took me, like, 3 weeks because her mum was dying of cancer at the time.
Wow.
So, like, that was one of the hardest things for me to do. Like, my dad aged about 10 years. He looks about 70 now, and I think all the stress he went through with it, like, that's a thing, it just doesn't affect you, it affects everyone else. But
because when everyone has cancer, it's like,
it's
you always think the worst thing.
And that's what I mean.
And like, my mum was always said to me, you know what I mean, like, kids aren't meant to die before you. You know, because like, I've nearly died a few times. You know, so yeah.
I agree, and like for some people it's a death sentence, just saying you've got cancer. But like I feel like everything I'd gone through before was to get me through that journey, and everything my family had gone through before was to get me through that journey, because it's not just like a one-man team to get through it. It's a family thing, and I had a lot of issues to go through with accepting chemotherapy, not wanting chemotherapy, having the operations.
How come you didn't want chemo? Because of what it puts into you?
Yeah, and like everything you imagine for me, growing up has been about health, nutrition, and watching my nana have chemo and seeing what it did to her. And like, I'd just been reading a book at the time called What the Health, and it was about like how to live a healthy lifestyle, and like it also had a chapter on how to avoid this cancer, and also the negatives of chemo. So it was like me to go through that as well, and also it was too late for me to freeze sperm, and I wanted to be a dad. Like I did an interview a couple of years ago, a mixed martial arts one, and they said, other than an MMA fighter, like, what's your aim? And I said, to be a dad, because of the relationship I had with my dad growing up. So like I didn't want chemo for that reason. So I had to go through all them battles, and like it like took me like 6-7 months, and then the cancer kept spreading, and then like one day, like mum and that, and they got me down, and my mum was like begging me, please try the chemotherapy, please, because my nurse had come to see me the day before, and it helped as well because she wasn't like forcing anything on me. And a lot of like one doctor said to me when I went to see him, he was like, have chemo or die. Those were his words. Another doctor had said to me, you're not going to be a dad, stick it in your head, get over it.
Okay.
So like,
so they weren't pussyfooting around.
No, and when people tell me that, it almost like motivates me to go and do the opposite as well. Like someone tells me I'm not good enough, I'm going to train harder so I am good enough. So, but she came to see me, Jan, my nurse, and like she was like me hidden angel at the time, like through the whole experience. And she said to me, listen, Alan, if you don't have the chemo, it's okay, we'll support you end of life. They reckon you've got like 6-7 months, I think she said at the time left, and we'll support you through that and make it comfortable. If you do have the chemo, it's going to be bad, it's going to be tough, especially if you've got your cystic fibrosis, but we'll fight it as hard as we can. And her saying that to me was almost like her supporting me and understanding me, so that made me like, when my mum and Hayley spoke to me, and they like said, please try it, that almost made me commit to it, and like that was my turning block, that conversation with her, because I tried everything at the time, infrared saunas, THC, fasting, juicing, vegan diet, something called German New Medicine. I was trying everything to try and cure myself naturally, and it was just spreading. Like I was in the garden one day after training, I'd been training, I was lying down and it was sunny, I had no top on and there was a lump like this at my stomach, and I was like, oh shit. So then, like I'm missing stuff out because I forgot about, but I started the chemo. I had 4 lots of chemo, 5 days on, 16 hours on, 8 hours off. So it was for 5 days and then 2 weeks and 2 days off. So I had 4.
How does it affect you having the cystic fibrosis as well?
So my lung function went to like 40%.
Okay.
I got like chest infection after chest, never been so ill. Lost weight, I was weighing like, I think I went down to like 49 kilograms.
What do you walk around then?
So before the cancer I'd walk around at like 63, 64. Now I walk around at 57, what I fight at. Which we'll get on to maybe later, but maybe one of the reasons I took that first fight back too soon because I was too light. But like when I committed to the chemo, for me, I can push through everything. So I accepted the chemo might kill me because they told me that. But I also accepted that I was going to fight it as hard as possible because like that's one of the things that I'll not be broken. So I just committed to the chemo, I went through every side effect going, stomach blockages, pneumonia twice, lung collapse, I had, I even forgot what it's called now, when you get a blood clot in your arm. I had that and I just stuck at it, drove through it. At those first lot, my blood markers went to normal, and I was waiting for an operation, and it was coming up to like January, Christmas, and nobody would do the operation.
Because of the time of year?
Because of the time of year, and also because where the cancer was in my stomach, it was by an artery that goes to the heart, so if they would have touched that, it was game over, so I needed someone who would do it at the time. So during the time of them finding someone to do it, the cancer had come back. So then it was like, we need to put you on more chemo, we can't wait around, and this one's going to be stronger chemo. So then I had to have 5 days of 20 hours on, 4 off.
20 hours of chemo?
20 hours of chemo, 4 hours off, 5 days.
What's normal? What do you normally have? What do people normally have?
I think it's different. Sometimes you can have like day cases. Sometimes you'll have like a 3-hour stint. I think it depends on the cancer. But like I remember like signing the complications before I had it. Like, because obviously you can't see. I'm reading, I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing? Because it's like, can cause this, can cause this, can do this, can do this, lifelong this, like I've only still got like 2 or 3 of the symptoms remaining. But I was reading it and I've tried to avoid all those things all my life. And like it got to a stage where I would go every Wednesday for a meeting, they would keep me one slot, And I go there, yeah, I'm going to have chemo. I'd leave there, not signed anything. I'm coming back next week, I need more time to think about it. I go there, yeah, I'm going to have chemo. I'd leave, I didn't sign anything. Because every time they go through the side effects with me, it was just so backwards for me. And I think that was one of the things that I found tough. So the cancer had come back, I had to go through more chemo. And I had 2 lots of it. And basically the doctor had said if he has any more, he's done. Because my lungs were collapsing, the side effects were getting too good, that they were going to almost rush me in for emergency operation because I'd got bowel blockage, because obviously you don't digest stuff as well being CF. I was retaining water, I was a small guy, I was bloating, I got blockage in my bowel, they thought they were going to have to do an emergency operation. So after those 2, they took my bloods and they were on the way down. And the tumour had shrunk in my stomach, only 2 centimetres, but from 13 to 11 centimetres. And they found a doctor in Birmingham who was a specialist, surgeon, Dr. Patel, who was a cancer specialist who would do the operation. I had to wait a few weeks to see him, but he was willing to see me. During the time I was waiting to see him, I got a phone call telling me my cancer had come back. So like me and my mum, we were with my dog in the kitchen, we broke down, like both of us, we were like, you know, we were crying our eyes out. Like, didn't want to tell anyone at the time, but I rung my dad, he come to see me. The next day they rung me up, which you can laugh about now. They give me the wrong results.
Fucking hell, man.
They give me the wrong, so I'd spent like a whole night not sleeping, thinking my cancer had come back for the 3rd time, but they give me the wrong results. They were like, look, you need to go and see the surgeon. So I went to go and see Dr. Patel, and he sits me down in this room, and he says to me, who's your sport? So I said, Liverpool. He said, you wouldn't want Doncaster Rovers doing your operation, would you? And I was like, no. He was like, I am the best. I'm the best man for this job. He drew the cancer where it was. He had my map of 13 complications, and he had a team and the plan if one of those complications come in. And he said, this is why you've got to wait 4 weeks. I need the lung specialist team, I need this team, I need this team. Hopefully the cancer comes back in time. He was like, I might open you up and be like, the cancer spread, I won't even remove it, I'll lock you back up, and then we'll deal with end of life care. He like told me to sit down with my mum and dad, write a will. So some of the things he said, I didn't go and tell my mum, but like he was cocky, but also he was confident in himself, and I like that about him. No bullshit, straight to the truth. And he said like, we're going to do this as best as we can. He said to me, like, we're going to get the team in place, come down, get everything sorted. And I'd left that meeting with 40% lung function. And I just had an operation, and my testicle removed. I was ill. So what I did was trained. I got my lung function before that operation up to 70%. In 4 weeks I did sprints on the rower, what I could with the pain I had, because he said to me, your lung might collapse during the operation because they're functioning so low. So rather than me feel sorry for myself, wait around, I did everything I can. I was eating properly, I was juicing, I was getting the food, nutrients, I was fasting, I was taping my mouth up to go to sleep and just breathing through my nose because it supposedly increases your lung capacity. I was trying everything.
How did you sleep like that?
Pardon?
Did you get sleep?
Yeah, I slept. I just tightened up my nose, got used to nose breathing.
I need to do that.
So I trained my lungs, got them better. So I turned up the night before. My uncle took me down for the operation, and he was going to go home that night. And the surgeon come to see me, like talk through all the complications. I didn't think my uncle maybe thought it was. He knew it was bad, but the guy said to him, like he said to us both, imagine crossing a road at 20 miles per hour with a lollipop lady. There's risks. Imagine crossing a road at 30 miles per hour. There's risks. imagine crossing a 40, 50 faster cars, there's this. He goes, tomorrow you're crossing a motorway. And I don't know if you'll get out the other side, but I'm going to do my best. This was the night before the operation. So my uncle ends up staying the night as well. He didn't end up going home. But I'd accepted, before the operation I'd done everything I can to get myself in the best physical shape for the operation, and then I accepted it was up to him. And he'd had this mind map, and he showed us a mind map. If this goes wrong, we'll try this. If this goes wrong, we'll zip you back up. That'll be it. And then he did the operation. They'd planned for a 17-hour operation. It took 4 hours.
Okay.
He come out.
He's got to be good news.
Yeah, he rang my dad. He said everything that we thought could go wrong did not go wrong. He hardly bled. He said perfect scenario. Like, I obviously didn't know about this at the time, so the operation went well. Started recovering first couple of days, and then obviously because I'm not able to breathe as
How
heavy.
did you feel when you woke up after that anaesthetic?
Rough.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what was going through you then? Like, you just was it?
At the time I was like happy, but I was still in pain. Obviously,
Okay.
I got a scar from here to here, so that hurt, and I wasn't breathing properly after the op because obviously it was restricting my breathing. So then I ended up getting my lung collapse, and I got pneumonia. So then I'm going through like a 2-week battle with that again. It's like I'm almost like.
Did they give you antibiotics and stuff for that?
But yeah, I had to have like IVs, and then it's like I'm straight in a battle again, fighting. But then my nurse Jan, she comes to see me. She's like, this has now become a lung situation. Let's get him to a Cystic Fibrosis hospital. So they transferred me from Birmingham to the Cystic Fibrosis hospital. Within 2 weeks, I was out of there. Back home, fine. Like, obviously I had to go through like recovery process, but.
So I'm saying you can't have general anaesthetic. Can you have a general anaesthetic?
So for the testicle removal, they didn't, because the surgeon who did the stomach op to remove the lymph mass was a specialist. Nobody else would do it. The person who would remove the testicle wouldn't touch it, so they had to give me 2 operations. And they couldn't give me 2 operations with general anaesthetic because my lungs wouldn't supposedly cope with it. Because obviously it puts your lungs to sleep. And they were scared that if they give me 2, I wouldn't recover from the anaesthetic. So the first operation I didn't have general anaesthetic. I forgot to mention this, so I was awake through it all while they're removing my testicle. I'm awake, I'm like talking to him through the whole lot.
Talking to him?
We were talking, chatting. I said, can we have a selfie? Like, this is like, no one had ever had that before. And it was the first time, because
I don't know how you do that.
it was the first time they'd ever done that operation in the UK anyway, or in that hospital. I'm not sure if they've done it in other places. So like, I'm awake through the whole thing, which is a surreal experience, but I'm almost glad I experienced it because probably no one's going to experience it.
No, I don't know if I'd want it.
And like,
I had an operation on my tooth and they just gave me a local anaesthetic,
so
and I was flapping around.
So I was awake.
Like
I was awake through it all. Could like move and that. The only thing I couldn't feel was from my hips down. But like talking to them, they were talking to me. It was a mad experience.
I'd be stressing out so much, and then you can't stop.
That was one thing I forgot to mention.
How do you process that in your head? Because I don't know if I could do it again. I don't know if I could calm myself down. I don't know if I'd be stressing out. When I go to see a doctor, if I'm having an operation, they normally come and they start to tell you what they're doing.
Yeah, for me,
and I always go, just wake me up and tell me it's done. And they're like looking at me. I don't know.
For me, the most frustrating thing was them not doing them together. And me having to have 2 operations within 6 weeks. That was the thing that annoyed me the most, and also the anaesthetist was annoyed by that. That's why she went out of the realms of medical recommendations to do it that way. Because that pissed her off as well. Because she was like, they need to just do 2 in 1.
Why couldn't
so
she
went out of her way, and because she also did that though, I didn't have as many complications after that first operation. So while I was waiting for the second one, I was able to get back in the gym and train and do what I could to make myself. Because if I'd had an anaesthetic, they reckon that's another 2-3 week recovery for me. So, but I walked out that hospital the next day and was able to start making positive steps towards that second one.
And that's when you got your lung capacity back up to 70%.
Yeah, so back up.
And probably, and possibly
made a big impact. Yeah, so I forgot to mention it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. So we do that. That's 2017. When's that? The end of 2017?
Yeah, 2018.
2018?
18, I think.
So you had the operation in 2018?
Yeah, I had it in the March.
And then you had a fight. You had one booked for, what was it, September 2019? But it got cancelled?
Actually,
it
must have been, I had the operation in March, I fought in December the same year.
The same year?
The same year.
You fought in 2019?
Yeah, so it would have been 2019. I had the operation in March, I had the first op, and then I fought the same year in December.
So you've had major operation?
They told me 1 year till I'm back training, so like I said earlier, if someone tells me 1 year, it's got to be sooner for me. Yeah, so like I was, after 2 weeks after being out of hospital, I was already starting my rehab with my physio Vicky. I was back in the gym lifting after 6 weeks, back hitting pads, 2 months, back rolling.
What did you have to do for protecting that?
Because I'd had the operation in 2021, the same operation, well similar operation, I had my bowel removed. I almost knew what I had to do and just, I think I'm a quick healer and also
Wolverine,
and doing the right stuff and like taking my time managing it as best as I could. I can literally, for me, I had to fight because for me fighting was the end of the journey. So looking back now, I do think maybe I rushed it a little bit just because I weighed in at 122 pounds. I fought at 125 pound was the weight category, and I'd have breakfast in the morning, and my opponent missed weight. So I think maybe it was still a bit too.
Did he miss weight by?
He missed weight by like 2-3 pound, I think. But he remember him saying to me he was waking up. He reckons he went in the fight at like 145 pound.
What are you? Still
and I was like 122, 123. But for me, it was the end of that journey, and I think even the fight.
Make a certain weight on the day or anything? No?
We asked for that, but he said no. So it was for me.
So you think he missed weight on purpose?
You never know, do you? You like to think people are better than that, but for me, it was. I had to fight to end the journey, and I think. The fight had adversity, and the second round was obviously a tough round. But then I come back and win the third, and that's almost like my life. And I think I said after the fact that it was a draw sums up my life, as in my life's never meant to be perfect. But I've said this before, it's meant to give people hope. So like the fairy tale ending would have been me to come back and win. But that's not adversity. Me coming back to draw.
Getting a draw against someone who's missed weight.
Having a tough
2 weight classes up almost. Nearly 2 weight classes up.
It's never a fairy tale story with me, but hopefully that story will motivate people in the future and give them hope when they're going through that. Because sometimes all you need is hope in certain situations, because the mind plays such an important part on the body, and the mind plays such an important part on your health. Like people always say about you want to be happy or look for happiness, find happiness. But for me that's not true, because you're never happy. And I think even if you've got all the money in the world, you'll find something not to be happy about, even if it's what car to buy or you buy the wrong car. But I think as long as you have hope and there are times you'll be happy and you're worrying about things that are important to you. For me, I'm worrying about a fight maybe coming up, that's important to me. And if I can give people hope, and to know that you never know what life's going to throw at you, but as long as you can keep that positive mindset and have that hope that you'll come out the other end, or there's light at the end of the tunnel, that's for me my aim, rather than like all these people say, find happiness. Don't get me wrong, you can be happy, but you're never truly happy. And I think there's important traits to have over happiness. One being hope, courage, determination, because nobody knows what around the corner. And like for me, things always seem to come around the corner at me, but I've always had hope through it.
So I was listening to someone not so long ago, and they said, happiness is a bit of a myth. It's like, be content.
Yeah.
Be content with what you've got. Like, for me, I always thought about happiness as, if you've not experienced the lows,
how do you experience that?
Yeah, because if you say, I'm happy all the time, that's normal.
Yeah.
So, it's got to be that, hasn't it? Otherwise, it's like...
And that's the thing as well, and I think people get almost depressed searching for happiness. You see these fake people on Instagram showing off their stuff, but that's not real life.
No.
And happiness won't get you through bad situations, whereas hope, courage will. And I think me coming back and getting that draw is not the fairy tale story, but it's the perfect one for me. And now how I move on with that is the next journey in my life.
And the next journey was to Dubai. Was that the first time you fought abroad?
First time I fought abroad, yeah.
What was that experience?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. I think it helped like going away the week and just focusing on the fight, because a lot of the times while I'm fighting in the UK, I'm still here coaching 4 or 5 nights a week.
Okay.
And I'm just focusing on the fight, obviously getting to experience new places.
So what did you go, a week before?
I went the week before, and it was on my 30th birthday. So a lot of the things for me, like you imagine I'm growing up with cystic fibrosis, getting told my life expectancy is 18. Getting that year older is not something that I like doing.
Yeah.
For me, like everyone was like up to it, what do you want to do for your 30th? And I'm like putting it to the back of my mind. I don't want to be 30, like I don't want to do anything. Like my mum's like, do you want to plan party? I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything. And then like it was literally 2 weeks before the fight, I get an offer to fight in Dubai on my birthday. I'm like, perfect 30th, let's do it. So that was a surreal experience, and a fantastic achievement that I'm proud of, and doing that on my 30th, there was no better way for me to experience it.
So how did you find Dubai? Did you like it there?
I did like it.
Have you been before?
I've never been before. I wouldn't be somewhere I'd rush to go back to. It's almost like a fake place.
I've only been through the airport.
Like you go in, I'm going into the toilets in the mall, and it's like made of gold, and like marble, and like obviously it's built on a desert. But everything's almost perfect in a lot of the places. It's a good place. It's a good place, but I like almost like the cobbled streets of Italy. When
I go to Asia, there's not a lot of history there. And then you go to places like Italy. I've not been to Rome, but everyone says Rome's unbelievable.
Yeah,
or even to London, you go down a little side street with these beautiful houses, you know what I mean? Whereas everything's made.
Like I would love to fight in the Colosseum. Someone did a show there, signed me up.
I think Bellator tried to do something.
They did. If anyone, I'll fight John Jones in the Colosseum.
If the money's right, So what's next for you on fighting? I know it's obviously stopped now for a while.
So I'm just waiting for all this to go with. I have signed with a show, a 4-fight contract. I'm waiting for him to announce it, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say. Say who.
A UK production or UK?
No, a worldwide production.
Wicked.
So I'm waiting for that to get announced, and they've signed some really good guys. They've signed some UFC people who've been released from the UFC, they've turned some Bellator guys. So I'm just looking forward to competing on that when they do shows again. And just like, for now, me, it's about those experience, testing myself against the best people, growing, taking myself where I can go in mixed martial arts, and then eventually passing that on and passing on my life experience to other people.
So do you do camps or do you just train?
I train all year,
you just
then
train?
When I get a fight, I'll do a bit more specific.
Okay. So what does that look like when you're doing when you've got a fight coming up?
Yeah.
What do you call, like, say fight camp for now, to make it easy? Do you do 8 weeks or?
So
when you start those?
No, I don't. I never have to do 8 weeks because my weight's on point. I could literally get away with 3 or 4 weeks to maybe just sharpen up some sparring.
Okay.
Also work some specific stuff game plan wise based on the opponent.
Who does that for you?
Generally me, and also like a couple of my coaches, like my striking coach will look at the striking. Like Steve will help me break down my opponent's MMA, and we'll look at wrestling. Who was one of my old teammates who now coached me, who come to Dubai with me. Like Jason will have a look, and we'll like look at things like we need to watch out for, work on. So I'll maybe add them into my sessions.
Do you watch a lot of tape?
I don't mind watching tape. I'm not one. I will watch because I think when I coach the guys, like if any of my guys have an opponent, I'll watch tape, break it down. Whereas I know some of them who I deal with who fight for me, they'll be like, I don't want to watch any tape, you do it all the time, what I need to do. Whereas I don't mind that. I'm like, got that coaching eye, I like watching fights, I like breaking stuff down, I like the challenge of seeing what they're good at, what they're not, and then we'll implement that in training. I'll also reduce or alter my strength and conditioning.
Okay. So what do you do for strength and conditioning?
As in, reduce the amount I'll do. So like out of camp, a lot of the time now I'm trying to like get my weight up, so I'll do like 2 or 3 a week, but in camp I'll go to like 1 a week lifting, and then I'll do like 1 circuit based session, and then the rest I'll get from sparring. So I'll do like 5 5s.
Do you not run?
6 5. No, don't run. If I do run, it's sprints. Hill sprints, I just feel the benefits of bashing my knees on the road for what it's worth. I get more out of doing like sport specific specifics, or sometimes I'll go into an MMA session at the gym.
Fight's more like a sprint then?
So like, exactly, so it would be more circuit based, like 10 squats into shuttle run into some pads moving, or like I said, 5-5 sparring, or I'll have a fresh partner. So they're coming in fresh, I'm on my 3rd round. Stuff like that, so like it just becomes more fight specific, but I don't really do like camps. I'm not one to be in the gym for 8 weeks for a fight and then out of the gym for 8 weeks.
Balloon on, yo-yo with your weight then?
I love it. I'll train all year.
So, did you start fighting before you started coaching, or the other way around? I
started training and fighting before I started coaching.
So how much do you think that helped you gain?
A lot. Also, like I was coaching football as well from a young age, like under 12s and stuff. And then my degree was in sport coaching. So as I was going through my degree, and I was training to fight, and I was like an amateur fighter at the time, so I was fighting. So I was also started learning, and then if my uncle couldn't take a class, I would be taking the class. So even from 18, I was coaching. Also my dad was coaching, and like my weekends as a kid was spent following dad around rugby coaching, so sitting in the dressing room learning that. So like I think I've always like had quite a lot of coaching experience from a young age, and then degree in coaching, started coaching when my uncle couldn't coach, and then just built that up. Like for me, I've done them both.
Because when this will sound like I think I know what I'm doing, but I don't know. I'm not really good at it. I used to have mats at the house, like, and I got some friends around and taught them, because I knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu, I taught them a little bit of jiu-jitsu. And I noticed so much more when I was trying to teach them something. The tiny bits in between which you don't notice when someone tells you. You know what I mean? It's like,
I completely agree with you. You break things down better, you learn things down. You also see, like when I'm coaching, if I'm seeing someone not getting something, I'm going over and like almost like problem solving with them, and then I'm like, oh, that's why they didn't get it. And then I've almost like added that to my arsenal, and I do it with the guys here. If there's some of the fighters, like I gave Mike Morris the kids class, one of my fighters, and his game will improve loads. And like if I'm looking at like someone with potential, I might give him a class to take, or I might just tell him just do the warm, because I do think they help you grow.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad quite a few times. He, by the sounds of it, he's been a big influence in your life.
Yeah.
And he's here with you. Is it like you two brothers together? Or?
Yeah. So like his background was in rugby and strength and conditioning, and obviously he's had a big impact on my life, as I said earlier, because we almost used training as a cure for cystic fibrosis. So like he would like. Sometimes he'd get me up before school and take me up the hills at like 7 a.m. in the morning and stuff. And that, like I was training lifting weights from like 12, 13, 3 times a week in the gym. And obviously he'd grow me up, and like he would always tell me like you can be anything you want to be. And
so do you think he built your mind?
He played a massive part in my mind. A lot of the people I grew up with did, but he's had the biggest influence on me, 100%, and like that's why what I learned from him I want to pass on to other people. That's why I wanted to be a dad, and like as he gets older and he like telling me to maybe train a bit less and changing things. That's some of the things that I'm not willing to change yet, almost, because who I am is because of what I've done in the past. And but like I do think mindset plays a big important in your environment, who you're with, and obviously he's almost like being my coach. Like he was in my corner for my first fight before I went to the MMA Academy, and he always comes in the back with me before the fights, and he also knows how to.
Was he happy that you were fighting?
I don't think anyone was happy I was taking that first one back.
How about your mum?
Yeah, I don't think she was happy either. The first one back, I think.
Oh, the first one. What about your first fights?
Oh, my first fights, my mum didn't come. But then after that, she had to come to every one.
Oh, she comes,
Yeah, like my dad, obviously, he's done a bit of mixed martial arts himself, and he was the one who took me to class. And he's like, he'll support me through it. Like even now he's mentioning maybe you're a bit too old now, what you've been through. But I think he knows, and he also like even with the first one back after cancer, he thought it was too soon, but he would support me through it, and he understood why I was doing it. Like, and sometimes my mum would maybe ring him and say like, why are you letting him fight? They told him a year before he's back training. And he knew without asking me why, and he would have that conversation with her, and then everyone would support me because of it. Like, and obviously growing up with him, like being my dad, also like being my coach at times, is a good thing, and also can sometimes be a bad thing. But
you seem to have, what I've noticed, you seem to have a good relationship. I should imagine like any relationship where it's like that, it has problems.
100%. We have
no one perfect.
I think like sometimes my dad can look at me and know what I'm thinking without me saying anything to him. And like one of the reasons I've wanted to be a dad before all this so much was because of that relationship I've had with my parents and the influence they've had on me, and I'm fortunate in that. If my parents might have took a different mindset to when I was born, I might not be the person I am today.
Well, might not be.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if they hadn't pushed you, if you hadn't been getting up at 7
that's it. Yeah.
It might have affected you long term.
No, and that's why I think the gym's called Inspire Performance.
I was going to say, why is it IPC?
Yeah.
That's right.
So the aim, obviously, is to inspire other people.
Okay.
We want to be more than, we're not like a IPC gym. We want to coach that deep health, and we know so many things play a part in your life at all levels. health, nutrition, mindset, and having that holistic and deep health approach to people. That's why we don't want to just work with athletes. We want to inspire everyone. And like I said earlier to you about hope being that thing.
Yeah, it's like Craig said to me that you've inspired him and you've helped him through times where he's had problems. You and your dad, have both helped him, and coming in, and that's one of the things why he really likes coming in. And he brings us one kid.
Yeah,
he wasn't it?
Yeah. That's it. We want to be more than just a gym.
Yeah, and that's nice. I'm really here sometimes, so I like listening to people having your dad giving them a bit of grief and that, and having a joke with everybody. I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that stuff. I miss being in Thailand where the Thai trainers are just laughing at me because I'm tired, you know what I mean? They're just making me go a bit hard.
I reckon maybe you get him on before you go.
Yeah, I hope to, Craig would say so. I just wanted to get this out of the way.
Go into the theories of COVID a bit more.
Yeah, I know that, so I'll have that conversation. You call me a conspiracy theorist now, so I think we can have a long conversation, but might need to put a day out for that. So what do you do with diet? Because are you good, or are you like me, you like sweet things?
No, I don't get me wrong.
From time to time.
My mum's Italian. I've grown up with Italian food, but I'm 95%, 100% good because of the benefits I've had from it. But also I realised during my cancer journey, whereas before cancer, if I was going out for a meal with friends and there was nothing healthy on the menu, that would almost eat away at me for a couple of days. And that's not healthy either. So I have become a bit more relaxed like that.
Cheat meals should be okay.
And like for me it would play on my mind, or I'd like get home from the meal and I'd have to train extra hard the next day, rather than just accepting it. Or sometimes I'd go out with them and I wouldn't eat anything, and that's not healthy either. And I do think that maybe caused the extra stress, maybe why my body say maybe enhanced being ill at the time. But I do know how important nutrition is. I don't label myself as keto or vegan or anything. I'd say 80-90% of what I eat is plant-based, and real food. That's it.
Yeah. What's your cheap food though?
Italian. Pizza, pasta.
Pizza's pizza's my bad one.
Pizza and pasta. That's why when I go on holiday, I like going to Italy. I've grown up with, and that was another thing growing up at the time, because cystic fibrosis people didn't digest food and they didn't put on weight. My mum was like, pasta.
Give you more pasta,
Pasta, eat this, because that was their advice at the time, and like it was only as we grew up and we got smarter and we started learning more about food, we started to make sure we were eating plenty of healthy foods.
Stuff with nutrients.
Yeah, I go to my nana's, there's a plate of pasta. I go to my other nana's, there's a plate of pasta. It's like, so yeah, like my favourite food is Italian.
Yeah, I like Italian food. I love Thai food as well. I just like all food. That's why I'm fat, isn't it?
Hey, you're getting better. But again, it's got to be the best nutrition plan you can follow is the one you're going to stick to.
Yeah, normally I'm alright on the diet when I'm, because I've been moving around. And I haven't been in one fixed place. I've just ate whatever. Because at times it's like, that's the restaurant. I'd go into restaurants and say, I'm hungry, just give me anything you've got. And they just laugh at me. So I knew this last year, my diet's going to be way off. But normally when I go back, I'm more towards that keto side of it. Low carb diet. You know what I mean? I eat too much protein for it to be keto. Because that converts, doesn't it? So.
See, like I can do keto with only a high intensity training with it. But
I'll normally have a bit of carbs or sugars before I train. If I do it like so. So what else we got? So starting this gym, how did you start this? That's one thing I asked about the name, but how did you start
obviously I've always been in a gym from a young age, and my dad was looking into it with a friend at the time, and I was like, it was more like his gym that would be mine eventually. So like I obviously had ideas into it, mixed martial arts side with my uncle at the time. The name and the philosophy behind it we come up with, and at the time he was like, right, go and get a degree and we'll start the gym and then you'll have a job in it and just build it.
Oh, so it's been almost all of you. It's not a recent thing.
This gym's been going
So I've been in the country now for
9 years.
I'm sorry that ended and cut so short, and it was my mistake, not Aaron's. That's why I'm putting these things around my head, because I didn't have enough battery on my camera, and we were chatting away, and it was great speaking to Aaron, and then my battery on my camera ran out. That's why it ended abruptly. So big thanks to Aaron. What an amazing story, what an amazing guy, what an amazing inspiration to people. While I've got this chance, please like, share, subscribe. I really love doing this. It's my hobby, and I enjoy it. And peace out, everyone, and thanks very much.